Imagine this. You wake up, check your phone, scroll through Instagram. Someone just bought a new car. Another's on vacation in Bali. Meanwhile, your alarm's screaming, your inbox is exploding, and you feel empty. They told you if you work hard, chase your dreams, buy the right things, you'll be happy. But what if that's the lie? The lie we were sold by modern life. And the Stoics saw it coming 2,000 years ago. We live in a world of endless noise. 24/7 notifications. Hustle harder. Grind more. Be better, richer, more productive. But beneath it all, something's wrong. More people than ever are anxious, depressed, overwhelmed. We chase success, but feel unfulfilled. We seek pleasure, but feel numb. Why? Because we've been programmed not to live, but to consume. The Stoics, ancient philosophers from a brutal, chaotic world, gave us the exact roadmap out. Not for comfort, but for clarity, purpose, and true power. This is their truth. And they didn't whisper it, they shouted it. Brain Chapter 1. The Modern Life Trap. You wake up to an alarm that's more aggressive than helpful. Before your feet even touch the floor, your phone is already in your hand. Notifications, emails, Instagram, TikTok. Someone got married. Someone's in Italy. Someone just bought their dream car. And you're still under the same blanket, in the same bed, with that creeping sense of anxiety rising like steam in your chest. This is modern life. Hyper-connected, always online, supposedly easier than ever. And yet, somehow, we're more lost than ever. We've been conditioned to believe that comfort is the ultimate goal, that life should feel good all the time. If it doesn't, something's wrong. If you're not happy 24/7, you're broken. So what do? We escape. Into our phones. Into sugar. Into dopamine. We scroll instead of think. We consume instead of create. We numb instead of feel. But here's what no one tells you. Every comfort you run toward is slowly stealing your strength. We live in the age of convenience. Everything is one tap away. Food, entertainment, sex, validation, delivered instantly. And because of this, we've lost the ability to sit with discomfort. We treat boredom like a disease. Silence makes us anxious. Even standing in line without pulling out your phone feels unbearable. The Stoics saw this weakness coming centuries ago. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." He didn't say this in an age of smartphones or streaming services. He said it in ancient Rome. And yet it sounds like he's talking directly to us. We've mistaken being busy for being alive. We measure productivity in to-do lists, but not purpose. We chase pleasure, but never ask if it's actually meaningful. We confuse stimulation with satisfaction. Modern life is a dopamine machine. Every app is engineered to hijack your brain. Every brand is designed to sell you a version of yourself you didn't ask for. We're marketed happiness, like it's something you can subscribe to for $9.99 a month. But you know what happens after the shopping cart is empty? After the delivery arrives? After the likes fade? You feel it. That familiar emptiness. Because what you're chasing doesn't fulfill you. It distracts you. And distraction is the new disease. What the Stoics knew, and what modern life desperately tries to hide, is that true power comes not from comfort, but from endurance, from self-mastery, from the ability to sit in discomfort and still remain calm. Epictetus, who lived as a slave before becoming a philosopher, understood this better than anyone. He lost his freedom, his status, even the use of his leg. But he never lost his inner peace. Why? Because he didn't base his identity on things he couldn't control. He didn't expect the world to entertain him. He chose strength over ease. And here we are today, free in every way, yet mentally shackled by every convenience. Think about it. Why do you need a podcast just to go on a walk? Why do you open your phone 100 times a day? Why does silence feel scary? Because modern life has convinced us that we should never feel bored, sad, or uncomfortable. That we must constantly be doing something, achieving something, feeling something. But that's not living. That's reacting. That's slavery to stimulation. The Stoics remind us, your time is your most valuable asset. Your energy, your attention, they're sacred. But today, they're sold off to the highest bidder. Advertisers, algorithms, influencers who don't care if you grow, only if you watch. So here's the uncomfortable truth. You are not tired. You're overstimulated. You're not lazy. You're distracted. You're not broken. You're addicted to comfort. But there's a way out. And it begins by rejecting the trap. By remembering what the Stoics taught. That hardship is a teacher, that boredom is a mirror, and that stillness, true stillness, isn't emptiness but the beginning of power. Crossed Swords, Chapter 2, The Stoic Reality Check. If Chapter 1 was about seeing the trap, this chapter is about breaking it. Because once you see how modern life weakens you, you can't unsee it. And the next logical question is, what now? What do you do when you're surrounded by comfort, but starving for meaning? That's where the Stoics come in, not as philosophers in ivory towers, but as warriors of the mind. Men who faced extreme suffering, chaos, loss, and still stood grounded. Still spoke with clarity. Still lived with purpose. Let's start with Epictetus, born into slavery. Crippled, powerless by every modern metric. No social media, no freedom, no fancy clothes. But when his master broke his leg during torture, Epictetus calmly said, "I told you it would break." He didn't scream. He didn't beg. He accepted what he couldn't control and focused on what he could. His attitude, his response, his soul. And that's the core of Stoic philosophy. Not reacting to the world, but commanding your response to it. You may not be able to control what happens to you, but you always control how you interpret it, how you act, how you endure. Compare that to today. Someone cuts you off in traffic, you curse. You get a bad comment online, you spiral. You miss a deadline, panic. We've built a world that protects us from real adversity. And in doing so, we've lost resilience. But Stoicism isn't about pretending life is easy. It's about recognizing that life is hard and preparing for it. The modern world tries to remove all friction. Stoicism trains you to walk straight through it. Seneca, another Stoic giant, practiced what he called voluntary discomfort. He would sleep on the floor, wear worn-out clothes, eat the simplest food. Why? He had wealth, power, fame. He didn't need to suffer. But he chose to, because he believed that voluntary hardship makes you anti-fragile, stronger, not in spite of pain, but because of it. Today, we call that crazy. But look closer. Isn't it crazier that we've built lives so fragile that a dead phone battery can ruin our day? Think of the things that stress us out now. A rude comment, a canceled plan, waiting 5 extra minutes for food. None of these are real problems. They're emotional paper cuts. But we bleed like we've been stabbed. The Stoics trained their minds like soldiers train their bodies. Every day was a chance to develop mental calluses. So when real hardship came, death, loss, betrayal, they didn't crumble. They stood tall. Not because they were cold, but because they were prepared. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, ruled during plagues, wars, and constant political betrayal. Every day, he woke up knowing someone might try to kill him. But instead of drowning in fear, he wrote this in his journal. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Read that again. Your mind is your kingdom. Everything else, money, status, followers, fame, is just weather. It comes and goes. But your inner world, that's where freedom lives, or where you become a slave. And this isn't just philosophy. It's neuroscience. Studies show that people who embrace discomfort, cold exposure, fasting, meditation, develop greater resilience, mental clarity, and emotional regulation. The Stoics were hacking the brain centuries before we had fMRI machines. And guess what? You don't need to become a monk in the mountains to live this way. You can start where you are. You can choose to stop reacting to every inconvenience. You can pause before you complain. You can walk without headphones. You can sit with discomfort instead of escaping it. That's where real self-improvement begins. Not with goals or gadgets, but with mastery of the self. Modern life gives you excuses. Stoicism gives you a sword. And every moment, you decide which one you're going to pick up. Collision, Chapter 3. You've been distracted from the truth. Let's get honest. You don't live in reality anymore. You live in a world of pop-ups, ads, notifications, clickbait, and content you never asked for. You sit down to do one thing, check your email. And before you know it, you're watching some guy on YouTube build a house out of mud in the jungle. It's been 47 minutes. You forgot why you opened your phone in the first place. This is by design. Modern life doesn't just distract you by accident. It does it with precision. Entire teams of engineers spend their lives figuring out how to keep your attention locked. Not so you can learn or grow, but so they can monetize you. You've become the product. And in this sea of noise, your thoughts, values, and purpose slowly fade. You stop asking big questions. You stop noticing the present moment. You forget that life is short, that death is real, that your time is running out. But the Stoics never forgot. They embraced a practice that modern life runs from like a plague. It's called memento mori. Remember, you must die. Now, let that sink in. We live in a culture obsessed with youth, pleasure, and eternal productivity. Aging is a disease. Death is a glitch. But the Stoics? They stared death in the face, every single day. Not to be morbid, but to become awake. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the Roman Empire, journaled this thought often. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. He didn't write this for an audience. He wrote it to himself, to remind his soul that he doesn't own time, that every moment wasted in fear, envy, or distraction was a moment stolen from the only life he'd ever have. See, modern distractions aren't just wasting your time. They're stealing your life. It's not about being a little addicted to Instagram or watching too much Netflix. It's about your finite existence being bled out, one meaningless scroll at a time. And what are you getting in return? More anxiety, more comparison, more numbness. We've confused stimulation for satisfaction. You feel busy, but you're not moving forward. You feel full, but you're not nourished. You feel seen, but not known. The Stoics lived in brutal times, plagues, war, betrayal, exile, and yet their clarity was sharper than anything you'll find in a self-help book today. Why? Because they knew that mortality is the ultimate motivator. When you remember that you're going to die, two things happen. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You start living with urgency, purpose, and presence. But we've anesthetized death. We put it behind closed doors. We turn away from cemeteries. We distract ourselves every second so we don't feel that little whisper inside us that says, "This won't last forever." But here's the thing. That whisper is the truth. And when you start listening to it, your life changes. You stop chasing validation. You stop performing for the algorithm. You stop being ruled by fear. Because when you truly grasp the fact that you could die tomorrow, The little things stop mattering, and the real things become impossible to ignore. That's the Stoic gift. Not peace through comfort, not clarity through control, but power through awareness. The modern world will do everything it can to keep you asleep, but the Stoics want you awake, wide awake, to the fragile, beautiful, fleeting miracle of being alive right now. So ask yourself, if you died tonight, would you be proud of how you live today? Or did you spend it distracting yourself from that very question? It's not too late. Not if you start now. Fire, Chapter 4. The Transformation of the Modern Man. Let me tell you a story, not about a philosopher from ancient Greece, but about a guy you probably know. Maybe you are him. His name's not important, but his life is familiar. He's 32, lives in a city, has a decent job, makes good money, drives a nice car. He's got the streaming services, the gym membership, the takeout receipts. From the outside, everything looks fine. But inside, he's drowning. He wakes up exhausted, even after 8 hours of sleep. He spends most of his day reacting. Emails, meetings, texts, scrolls. He doesn't know what he believes in anymore. He just exists. And worst of all, he feels guilty for not being happy. He has everything modern life promised, comfort, access, entertainment. But none of it means anything. He doesn't feel alive. He feels numb. One night, lying awake in bed at 3 a.m., he Googles something simple. Why do I feel empty all the time? He ends up on a forum. Some old thread. Someone mentions a book. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. He orders it on a whim. Doesn't expect much. The book arrives. It's small, plain, but when he opens it, it hits him like a thunderbolt. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. That line, he rereads it 5 times. Because it doesn't sound like a quote from 2,000 years ago. It sounds like something his soul has been trying to say for years. He keeps reading. It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about those things. Epictetus, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca, it's like a mirror, a brutal one, because the truth hits hard. He's been blaming the world for his unhappiness, but he's the one avoiding responsibility. So he makes a decision. No big announcement. No motivational music. Just a quiet, stoic vow. I'm going to take my life back. The next morning, he wakes up earlier. Not because he has to, but because he wants to face the day with intention. He doesn't touch his phone for the first hour. He writes in a journal. Nothing fancy, just thoughts, fears, goals. He asks himself the Stoic question. What can I control today? He starts small, takes cold showers. Not to be tough, but to train his mind to sit with discomfort. Deletes social apps off his phone. Not to be a monk, but to reclaim his attention. Stops multitasking. Starts walking in silence. Eating without screens. Listening. Thinking. Feeling. At work, he stops complaining. Starts leading. He stops saying yes to everything. He finds boundaries. Discipline. Focus. His friends notice. They say, "You seem different, man." He smiles, not because he's changed overnight, but because for the first time in years, he feels like himself. He doesn't need external motivation anymore. He has principles, a code. When stress hits, and it still does, he doesn't panic. He returns to his Stoic training. Is this within my control? If yes, he acts. If no, he accepts. Simple, powerful, unshakable. And the best part, he no longer fears death, because he's finally started living. You see, Stoicism doesn't just sound good in a book. It works in breakups, in layoffs, in anxiety, in chaos. It works for the modern man who's tired of numbing himself and ready to feel alive again. Because when you stop living on autopilot, when you stop outsourcing your peace, when you look life in the eye and say, "I will be ready no matter what," that's when transformation begins. Classical Building, Chapter 5. The Path to Real Freedom. Let's pause for a moment and ask the deeper question. What does freedom actually mean? Most people would say, money, time, the ability to do whatever you want, whenever you want. But that's not freedom. That's comfort dressed as control. And comfort, as we've seen, is the golden cage. Because think about it. You can have all the money in the world, but still be a slave to your emotions. You can travel anywhere, but still carry your anxiety with you. You can scroll endlessly, eat anything, sleep with anyone, and still feel deeply, profoundly trapped. Why? Because you haven't mastered yourself. The Stoics had a different definition of freedom, one the modern world forgot. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus. Real freedom isn't out there. It's not in your job, your bank account, your passport. It's in your mind. And that's why Stoicism is so powerful, because it rewires the only thing that truly determines the quality of your life: your perception. Modern life teaches you to chase. Chase happiness. Chase success. Chase validation. Chase dopamine. But the Stoics teach you to stop running, to stand still, to anchor yourself in what you can control, and let go of the rest. That's the secret. That's the path to real freedom. It doesn't come from adding more to your life. It comes from subtracting the noise. When you no longer crave what others have, you're free. When you're no longer shaken by failure, you're free. When your peace isn't dependent on likes, praise, or convenience, you're finally, deeply, unshakably free. Let's break it down. You're angry? The Stoics would ask, what judgment are you placing on the situation? Can you pause, breathe, and respond instead of react? You're anxious? The Stoics would ask, are you worrying about something outside your control? Then why let it dominate your mind? You're lost? They'd say, return to your principles, clarify your values, ask what a wise person would do, and do that, even if it's hard. This isn't theory. This is a roadmap, because once you start living by virtue, by courage, wisdom, temperance, and justice, you start to feel lighter. Your mind clears. Your priorities sharpen. You walk through the world with inner armor. Not because nothing can hurt you, but because nothing can control you. Modern life offers you quick highs. Stoicism offers you something better: deep peace. The kind of peace that says, let the world do what it wants. I will respond with reason. Let hardship come. I will grow stronger through it. Let success arrive. I will remain humble. Let death take me. I will meet it with grace. Can you imagine what kind of life that creates? You become calm in chaos, patient in pressure, grounded in noise. You stop reacting and start leading, not others but yourself. And from that, everything changes. Relationships improve because you're no longer triggered. Work becomes purposeful because you stop chasing empty metrics. Mornings feel sacred because you know time is precious. You become anti-fragile, someone who doesn't just survive the storm, but grows stronger in it. That is real freedom, and no algorithm, no economy, no government can take it from you. In a world that promises freedom through consumption, Stoicism shows you the path to freedom through self-mastery. It's not always easy. It's not always fun. But it is always yours to choose. The modern world may be a lie, but the Stoic truth? It's the most honest thing you'll ever find. Compass, Chapter 6, The Stoic Blueprint. How to begin today. By now, you've felt it. The tension between the modern world's lies and the Stoic truth. You've seen how we've traded purpose for pleasure, presence for distraction, and discipline for dopamine. But now you face a choice, not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Because philosophy means nothing unless it becomes practice. So let's get real. No fluff, no theory, just a blueprint. Here's how you begin your Stoic journey today. Mantelpiece clock 1. Start the morning with a Stoic ritual. Don't touch your phone. Don't scroll. Don't react. Instead, sit in silence. Open a journal. Ask, what is in my control today? What might go wrong? And how will I respond with virtue? What kind of person do I want to be today, no matter what happens? This is your mental armor. Because the world is chaotic, but your mind doesn't have to be. This is exactly what Marcus Aurelius did. Each morning, he prepared his soul like a soldier prepares for battle. You should too. Balance scale 2. Throughout the day, practice the dichotomy of control. This is the core of Stoicism. Everything in life falls into 2 buckets. What you can control, your thoughts, actions, values, responses. What you can't, other people, outcomes, opinions, the past. Whenever you feel anger, anxiety, or frustration rising, pause. Am I disturbed by the thing, or my judgment about the thing? 9 times out of 10, you're upset because you're trying to control something you never owned. Let it go. Take ownership of your attitude, your habits, your integrity. That's where power lives. Crossed swords 3. Seek voluntary discomfort. The modern world teaches you to chase ease. Stoicism teaches you to chase growth. Take cold showers. Skip the elevator. Fast for a day. Say no to distractions. Do hard things, not to suffer, but to become anti-fragile. Seneca put it best. Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest fare, with coarse and rough dress, asking yourself all the while, is this the condition I feared? When you do this, you realize, comfort doesn't make you safe. Courage does. Skull and crossbones 4. Practice memento mori. Every day, remind yourself of this one truth. You will die. This isn't negative. It's liberating. It's the end of procrastination. The end of excuses. The end of living someone else's life. Write it on a note. Make it your wallpaper. When things upset you, remind yourself, this will pass, and so will I. You don't have forever, but you do have now. Shield 5. Live by a code. Modern life wants you to live on impulse. The Stoics ask you to live by virtue. Write your own code. I will respond with courage, not fear. I will act with wisdom, not impulse. I will speak with honesty, not flattery. I will seek justice, not approval. Make this your compass. When you're confused, overwhelmed, or tempted, return to it. Ask, what does my code demand of me right now? That's how you become unchangeable in a world that constantly tries to change you. Brain 6. Reflect every night. Before bed, ask yourself 3 things. What did I do well today? Where did I fall short? How will I improve tomorrow? This was Epictetus's nightly practice. Not to judge, but to course correct. Because discipline doesn't come from punishment. It comes from self-awareness. Checkered flag, this is the path. No apps, no hacks, just timeless wisdom, brutal honesty, and relentless courage. The Stoics didn't live easy lives. They were exiled, betrayed, enslaved, broken, but they died free. You can too, not by escaping the modern world, but by rising above it. And the moment you begin, truly begin, is the moment you realize. You don't need more motivation. You need more discipline. You don't need to feel ready. You need to take action. You don't need more time. You just need to stop wasting it. So go. Close this video. Stand up. Breathe deeply. And begin your Stoic life right now. Because modern life may be a lie, but your actions can speak the truth. So now you know the truth. Modern life is a lie. But you don't have to live one. If this video stirred something in you, if it woke up that part of your soul that's been asleep, then don't just nod and move on. Live differently. Think differently. Be different. And if you're ready to go deeper into this journey, to challenge yourself, to confront your comfort, to become unbreakable in a world that profits off your weakness, then subscribe. Because here, we're not chasing motivation. We're building discipline. We're not escaping reality. We're embracing it. The Stoic way. Leave a comment below. What's one lie from modern life you're done believing? Let's start a conversation that actually matters. And remember, the world will keep lying. But you can choose to live in truth. I'll see you in the next one. Stay sharp, stay stoic, and take back your life.